G'day fellas and welcome to a casted game. We are here on the brand new expansion pack for Age of Empires 4. This is the Sultan's Ascend, and boy oh boy do we have an absolute game for you today. Two Conqueror 3 players, both on the Japanese. We're starting to reach the pointy end of the patch where players are starting to perfect their preferred preference for which civilization they're going to play. But it's great to see double Japanese coming in here. We casted a Byzantine mirror earlier today. Now we get to cast a Japanese mirror, and I'm excited. I'm looking forward to it. This was going to be the first one that we cover. If you're looking forward to it, then I encourage you to leave a like on this video. Let's introduce our players for today. In the north of the map, in the color teal, playing as the Japanese, starting off with an early Tawara coming through. It's Kalp. And on the south side of the map, in the color orange, playing as the Japanese, it's Tips. Both of these players do stream over on Twitch, so if you'd like to check them out, make sure you have a look at the link in the description. And you want to know what's funny? We've got ourselves a mirror, but they're both doing the exact same thing. They're copying Vortex. I love this. This is, I mean, this is probably going to get called the Vortex build after watching him do that, the way that he went for the stone early on. And it's beautiful to see how quickly it catches on, things like that. But let's look at the differences that we've got. Now, one thing to note is that even though we've got Tawara that's come through for Kalp in the north, this doesn't actually reflect on the UI. Ideally, you know, if he's playing the Japanese, you'd like that little icon to just be the Tawara icon instead. And I guess technically he doesn't have this horticulture as a technology, so it just kind of, these two upgrades just kind of sit here dead. And that pains me greatly. I guess in addition to that, if you want to really get technical, you could also talk about Tatara up there as well. But that's a little bit of the difference that we've seen already between these two players. Kalp going for Tawara, his opponent not looking to pick it up early on, but that's realistically about it. Now, let's talk about why you would want to start with this opening. What makes this so damn good? Because I suspect we're going to have a build order guide coming out for this very, very soon. It's a super simple opening that's going to guarantee that you've got a second town center pretty damn quick, and at the same time, it minimizes the amount of movement your villagers need to make in the early stages of the game. And oh my boy, there's nothing more intimidating than, you know, walking into the bar and you've got 3 sheep and he's got 10 sheep and you're like, yep, that'll do it. Anyway, so as the Japanese, you have access to some unique abilities, and one of those is that for every 10 stone you hand in, you get 2 gold for free. And for every 10 gold you hand in, you get 2 for free. 2 free stone for free. So every 10 stone you get 2 free gold. Every 10 gold you get 2 free stone. So that's the way that it works. And because of that, what we see here is that both players are slowly working towards having a large amount of gold in the bank passively. They're generating this while not gathering any gold whatsoever, and they're doing that through their stone outcropping, because they're utilizing this stone. And so the idea is that they're going to take this stone that they've got in the bag. You can see Tips already sitting there with 500 stone ready to go. And they're going to be able to utilize that and turn it into a second town center, or turn it into, additional upgrades for their daimyo mana. That's going to be an option for them. So there's lots of different ways they can look to play it, but we do start to see those age ups coming through already. A little bit of difference between these two. Obviously, we've talked about Kalp, how he did have the early Tawara upgrade coming through, whereas we don't see that coming through on the Kura Storehouse here, or rather for Tips with the Kura Storehouse already. Only 4 villagers on the age up. I feel like you could probably get away with 5, maybe even 6 villagers on this age up here, just because look at the stone he's got in the bank, already 590. But I think it also comes down to what you want to do with these resources. Do you want to go for the upgrade on the town center, or do you want to throw down a second TC? And one of the things I suspect you're probably going to see in this matchup, because this is going to be, I reckon this is going to be a super popular build just because of how cool it is. I think the most common thing that you're going to see is players probably even going into 3 town centers. I think this is going to be a 3 TC matchup, because look, you can get away with it 100%. He's got 654 stone in the bank there. You might as well do it. Throw in a second town center, throw in a 3rd TC, then upgrade the second one. You know, you're a happy little camper. It's an absolute beautiful thing to see, but we now see the Kura Storehouse coming out up on the north side. Look at this, 8 villagers on this one, rushing it up. Wants to get it up as quickly as he possibly can. He's got 500 stone in the bank, and he's still got villagers on stone here as well. So both of these players looking to gather up a lot, but if we have a look at what Tips has got 650. To me, that says he wants to build a second town center, and he wants to get the daimyo upgrade as well. That's where the difference is between these two players, but you can see Kalp is approaching that number. Let's look to see whether he... My gosh, look at how much Oh, he's already upgraded the main town center. And oh no, he's housed. Quickly, where's that house? He's rushing it up at the back. Cap, not like this. He's gone idle for 7 seconds. Oh, at the Conqueror 3 level, that's a death sentence. Well, not really, but that's a lot of stone he's gathering up here. This is kind of ludicrous. Now, what's he going to be doing with all the gold that he's got? Is he looking to maybe get in the other unique upgrades? Age ups come through a little bit after the 5 minutes for both of them. And now we're going to be looking for those second town centers. Now, interestingly, Cap doesn't actually have the resources in the bank to throw down that second town center just yet. Even though he's look at the stone he's stacking up right now. Is he just rushing? Is he just going to level 2 Daimyo Palace straight away? It could be the case. It could be the case. We'll have to check in with him. Town center now coming up over on the gold, exactly where we'd expect it to come up here. Beautiful little base. He's got absolutely perfectly positioned. Second farm going to be coming up here. Expect him to move on to that. And now the question is going to be whether he looks to pick up the Tawara upgrade ×2, because that's going to take your berry gathering to the next level. Let's talk a little bit about this, because I've already done some numbers on this. I was so intrigued by watching Vortex do that. I said, all right, I need to run the numbers. So there's some interesting dynamics that you've got to be aware of. Number one, you want to get to 350 stone for the second town center. The problem is, if you get to 350 stone, you don't have enough gold to age up. So you need to gather up an additional, I think it works out to be 100 stone, something like that. But then all of a sudden, you've got this extra stone. So you say to yourself, well, I've got 100 extra stone. I might as well just gather up 200 more, and then I'll have 300, which is enough for the upgrade. So now I can get my town center and the upgrade. But now all of a sudden, you've got extra gold. And so you say to yourself, okay, well, I've got extra gold. Well, what am I going to spend it on? Well, I might get the Tawara upgrade. And so you get the Tawara upgrade, but it's not enough to cover the Tawara upgrade. You still need about 20 more gold to age up. So now all of a sudden, you've gone back the other way. And now it's like, well, I've got all of this extra stone. I think it works out to be like, I'm just sitting here trying to think it out to remember. It works out to be an awkward amount, and then you guys get the point. You're kind of seesawing between stone and gold and stone and gold and trying to find an optimal number, and I think at the end of the day, there's just not an optimal number. It's about what you want to do as a strategy. Do you want to go for that second town center really quickly and drop it down? Do you want to go for the TC upgrade and then maybe think about going for that second TC? It's all just going to come down to that, and we see early on in this game, we've already got a bit of a mix, but players still following that same general direction, and I do like that we're seeing this coming out in such force already. You know, just after that game, it's just so quick, and you're just seeing it immediately onto the ladder. And I think just because of that, we're probably going to see Japan as one of the only civs that can probably get away with a second TC early on. I think that going for a second TC does lead to a lot of exposure, and that I just realized he put his second TC on the large stone outcropping. I do like this. This is very, very bold. But at the same time, this is really smart. Let's talk about this. Basically, it guarantees that this TC never dies. This TC is just going to be here forever. The stone he's going to be utilizing to upgrade his town centers from Daimyo Manors up to Daimyo Castles or Daimyo Palaces. The problem is that this town center is all by itself. So if I was in this position, I'd be wanting to upgrade this town center as well, making sure that we don't forget it, trying to get it early on, just because it gives you an extra arrow slit, so that's nice to have, because then all of a sudden, you know, the Onibagesha can't be just running in underneath the TC like this, doing a little bit of scouting. But each player is different. And now we'll check in on the south side and see how Tips is doing. It's a very passive opening. 8 minutes and 40 through this game. The farms continue to come up. You can see he's got a couple here that he hasn't taken just yet. Need to make sure that he moves his villagers over to that shortly. Wants to maximize the efficiency of those villagers, and now Tips looking to get more upgrades in. We see the specialized pick together with the textiles upgrade. Now those Bagesha beginning to round the town center. You can see just how much damage the town center is able to do here. Almost two-shotting the Onibagesha, but it's not going to be enough. That's the difference that those town center changes made. Remember, previously your TC could hold 10 villagers. Now it can only hold 7. And it's that small little difference that prevents that, or changes that from a 2-shot to a 3-shot. That's what I love to see. All right, well, the Daimyo Palace has indeed been upgraded. This is a 50% bonus that he's already managed to pick up. And keep in mind, he's added in additional farms around the town center as well, which means that now you're talking about a significant bonus, a 50% bonus on not just these villagers for the Cura Storehouse, but also the villagers around the town center. The question's going to be which unit he looks to go for here. And this is always a tough decision in mirror matches, because it really comes down to unit choice, because that can be quite decisive in these matchups. Because you can't blame your enemy civ at the end of the day. They've got the exact same techniques or the exact same units that you've got access to. And it all just comes down to decision making. But if you go into archers, keep in mind you're going to be playing the Japanese archer, which is a very food heavy unit. It is, because most archers are about 30 food, about 50 wood, and the Japanese archer is only 35 wood, it means you're paying a lot more as a percentage food for your archers. And because of that, it makes sense for him to be looking to play into this style by going for the Yumi Ashigaru. More Honor Bagati's beginning to move over across the map. He's looked to upgrade that second town center now. He's picked up with a single upgrade. Bannerman are going to be the option, and he begins with Bannerman Yumi out early on. You can see the Honor Bagati straight away charging in with that very high movement speed. I didn't quite get the click on it, but it is damn well high. We should be able to see it right here if he gets a charge off. There we go, 1.8 movement speed. But keep in mind, there's not a lot of damage that comes in on these units, so I think prioritizing this early on can make a lot of sense. Going from 6 damage to 7 damage is quite significant, because it means instead of killing your opponent in 9 hits, what is it? 6 times 9 is 54. It would be, what is it, 7? 7 times 7 is 49. It's going to be 8 hits, so 1 less hit. Not really that much difference, but I guess if you could get to +2, then that's going to give you a nice little break point, take you up to, I mean, it's still, is it 8 hits? No, 7 hits. So each one takes you down 1 hit. Nice little patrol route over here on the west side of the base. Now we've really got these Daimyo Manners beginning to empower a lot of farms. You can see just how well he's done here with this. Manages to hit the entirety of the Kura storehouse. We'll check in with his opponent. Yeah, it's the exact same for Kaup as well. He's also going to be hitting those. There's a couple of farms missing here. What's the deal with this? So is it just because he must have built one of these farms? I think he's built this one here, and then the Kura storehouse is just going to fill in this last farm, because he's got that 1 slot missing. But now at this point, it looks like Castle Age might be the way, and indeed it is going to be the way. So both players looking to go Castle Age. No surprise in seeing that Kaup is going to be going for the Floating Gate. Definitely one of the best landmarks in the game at the moment. Just provides infinite scaling throughout the game. And look at the amount of villagers he's bringing out here. 26 villagers wanting to throw down this landmark. And the question's going to be, where does he go from there? I've done a little bit of theory crafting about this civilization, the Japanese, and I think that it's plays very similar to the Holy Roman Empire, with the exception that it's not going to be about getting Imperial Age. Imperial Age is definitely going to be very strong for the civilization, but I think a large part of it is just going to be about infantry, getting out a lot of melee units, you know, your Honor Bagatis together with your samurai, together with just a couple of spears mixed in if your enemy is going into cavalry, and that's going to provide a really strong basis for your army. And then after that, moving into something like mangonels, which are going to prevent that crossbow mass from building up. But we now see those Yorishiro being placed. The first one's going to go down into the Daimyo Palace. It's down to 16 seconds. And we begin to see the Shogunate Palace, the Shogunate Castle rather, coming in here at 12 minutes and 55 seconds. Let's just talk about this for a second, because this is about to get silly. The Japanese civilization have access to the Shogunate Castle, which enhances the gather rate of villagers on farms in the nearby vicinity by 75%. 75%. Do you know how much a gather rate is at the Imperial Age if you pay the big bucks for all of those upgrades? I'm talking your horticulture, your fertilization, and your precision crossbreeding. It's 45%, all 3 of those together. Here, you're exceeding that by 30%, and you're doing it 13 minutes into the game. It's ludicrous how strong this bonus is, and it's great to see Kaup utilizing it early on. Floating gate gets thrown down. We can see both of these players go for a really weird floating gate position. If you know the answer, tell me why. Why have they put the floating gate where they have? It's in the literal middle of nowhere for both of these players. I just don't get it. I don't get it. It's just going to make it harder for you to run over here. Like, if anything, I'd be thinking I want my floating gate, like, down here somewhere. Just near the back of my base. It's obviously a pretty big, important landmark. You don't want to lose it. And let's see exactly where he takes these Yorishiros. It looks like it's going to be the town centers. And he's already queued up the second Yorishiro here. Do we see the same thing on that north side? I don't see... Yes, we do. So both of the Yorishiros are now in. Looks like a couple of Onimusha. Now beginning to come out here for Kaup. Numbers starting to look good for Tips. He's sitting on quite a decent military mass here. Horsemen coming through for him. And we hear those relics being picked up. Already 3 relics in the hands of Kaup. A very passive opening to this game. Cavalry coming out from both of these players. We see the triple stable on the north side of the map. That's going to give you a lot of mobility. It's going to be difficult for you to chase around an opponent if you're running that. Actually, do we see Do we see a full cavalry composition? You know, it's funny because I literally just mentioned the fact that they're going to play a fair bit like the Holy Roman Empire, where you're going to see infantry and the mangonels. But maybe this matchup's a little bit different because you've obviously got all the tools that your enemy's got. So it kind of makes sense with the Onamusha, because the Onamusha is going to be a ranged oh my, what's he doing? Is he going, he can't build a keep out here. It's nothing to do with that. Was he looking to drop a town center out here? What are these villagers just doing unprotected in the middle of no man's land? Not the nicest outcome, that's for sure. But now a whole bunch of horsemen are going to come in, looking to try and fight up against the Ayyubids at the same time. They're just looking at them swing right now. They are going ham. Spin, spin, spin. Look at them go. They're twirling their swords. Actually, they're not swords. They are naganatas. And they're doing pretty well out there. Looks like another Shinto priest is going to be going down if these Byzantines decide to take it down. But at the moment, it seems they're just going to be focused on taking out that mounted samurai, doing a decent job there. Plenty of cavalry back here. Now going to be able to close out a couple of these villagers. Already has taken out 5 this game. Let's see if he's able to take out any more. There's a 6th one. 7th one going to go down as well. And, oh, he was trying to wall him in. Get out of town. Look at the size of that thing. He really wanted him inside the dome, didn't he? He was like, you know what? That's your house and this is mine. It's a classic case of, you know, I'm just gonna take all of this land over here and I'm trying to think. It was a comedian somewhere. He's like, I'll give you this. What did he say? I'll give you these lovely little coffee beans, and you'll give me from here to the horizon. Something like that. Oh, gosh. Good times, good times. Anyway, Forge now coming down on the forward gold, slowly losing out those resources in the back of the base. You can see he's still got relics behind here, so could look to try and take advantage of them, but we don't see too much mobility that direction just yet. Town center coming up for tips over on the east side. Remember that you don't have access to the castle in... Oh, how many sacred sites would you like? It's just everyone's contesting or capturing or doing some sort of special thing. Jeez, that's a big wall, isn't it? That's got to be a lot of resources going into that. But with this town center coming up, because you don't have access to the castle in the Fortress Age... Fortress Age? Gosh. Because you don't have access to the castle in the Castle Age, like many people would think. The reason I said Fortress, I mean, obviously Age of Empires 3 is there, but I'm just thinking... What are you doing? It just didn't make sense. The castle in the Castle Age. But there you go. The reason why you don't have access to the castle in the Castle Age is because the castle is actually limited to the Imperial Age. There you go. Who would have thunk it? The castle not being available in the Castle Age. There you go. But now those numbers starting to look good for Kalp. And I tell you what, I'm kind of impressed. There's one thing that would scare me though, and this is where I'm kind of thinking out loud. With the Onamusha, they're going to be particularly good against any heavy unit. So if you've got samurai out on the field, they're going to deal very well with that. Whereas, if your opponent just made a whole bunch of Ayyubids and some spearmen, you're going to have a little bit of trouble right here, because they're just going to get right up on top of you, and you're going to have difficulty kiting, microing away. That town center now coming up over on the east side. We spoke before about how you don't have access to the castle in the Castle Age. Well, guess what? You do have access to the Daimyo Mena, to the Daimyo Palace, and later, the Shogunate Castle, which has got 13,000 health. At least the secondary one does. But now a little bit of a push coming in, and this cavalry composition coming from Kalp is starting to look a little bit concerning, I'd say, for tips. The number's still looking good for tips at the moment, but when it comes to army value, it's still pretty close. And now all of a sudden, it's going to be infantry against cavalry, and the question's going to be which one comes out on top as the Byzantines begin to chase down. Oh, look at the micro. Look at the micro. You can say micro all you like, but at the end of the day, the Byzantine's going to catch you. Look at the damage as these absolutely powerful mounted samurai get destroyed by the infantry. Numbers starting to look good, and I think that's going to be the key here. Tips, he's really trying to wall him in right now. It's a Japanese mirror, and he says to him, you're going to stay on your side, I'm going to stay on my side. We're going to call it fancy, except your side's quite a bit smaller than mine. Have we got counter walls coming in? We've got counter walls coming in, but it's after the wall. Look at this. If he gets the counter wall up, it's not going to matter. It's not going to change a thing. He's just going to be like, yep, don't mind me. And now what? He is so determined to wall him in. He just wants to wall him in. Onamusha now, slowly but steadily, taking down all of these cavalry units on the front. Town center, out over on that east side rather, still quite happy. outpost in the back line. Here come the spears together with the Ayyubids. Going to clean up those Onamusha. So much damage in such a short amount of time. You got to remember that these guys have got low health, not to mention the fact that they are cavalry, so it means they're going to cop a lot of damage when those spearmen do eventually make a connection. Shinto Shrine coming in. That last relic on the map. Now, did you guys see that? It said 4+1 and then a 1 over here. But I'm assuming that's because when you're carrying the Yorishiro, it's going to count. Oh, look at this. This is an investment right here. The Ayyubids finally. I knew these guys would pay off. 16 minutes later, and the Ayyubids like, that's right. We denied 4 villagers from a gold vein. Yeah, boy. Oh, gosh, that's funny. And look now, the villager that was trying. Is he going to be able to get it off, though? Look at the walls coming up. He is intent on walling in his opponent right now. We are seeing, you know, you've heard about the Great Wall of China. Have you heard about the Great Wall of Japan? Have you heard about the Great Japanese Civil War? I mean, you probably have. It wasn't really a civil war. It was more like a... I don't even know how you describe it. There were so many factions fighting amongst each other. It was definitely a war, but to call it civil is probably the worst way to describe it. It was uncivil at best. But now... plenty of units making their way through. It looks like a huge cavalry composition is coming out from Kalp. Infantry on the front line. Spears together with the Ayyubids. And it looks like a defense is coming through. Tip's doing a wonderful job here. Keep in mind, both of these players, Conqueror 3 players, and as you'd expect, they are doing a wonderful job of finding every single opening that they can and punishing their opponents, but they're very well matched. More mounted samurai coming through. We see that banner being dropped on the ground. Double banner, triple banner, oh baby, it's a quadruple. I did not expect to see that today. Quadruple banner being dropped down right there. The Onamusha number's starting to look good. Keep in mind they've got access to Whistling Arrow. That's that Whistling Arrow bonus that you see right there, which is going to increase their movement speed. And beautiful kiting coming through right now. I think we've got our answer as to which unit might be the king in the Japanese on Japanese matchup, and it's gonna be the Onamusha. Look at this bad boy go. And I know that you guys are gonna say, Drongo, Ona means woman. I know, I'm not talking like in the sense of a gender. It's like, when you know when you go, hey guys, how you doing? We're not saying, hey men, specifically. It's like everybody, like, hey guys, how's it all going? It's the same thing. Look at these bad boys right here. I know they're girls. It's okay. We can be friends. Calm down. But look at the Onamusha numbers. This is ludicrous. And now together with the mounted samurai, this is starting to look a little bit scary for Tips in the south of the map. That is for sure. You know what? I feel like I just channeled my, what's his name? He's a Chinese chef and he does YouTube shorts and he's absolutely hilarious. Is it Uncle someone? Oh my god, I can't remember. I feel like I just channeled him though. I didn't even mean to. I just heard my voice and the intonation of it. I was like, oh my god, I sounded exactly like that guy. Anyway, here we are. Here we are. Let's switch this over to income so you guys can get a bit of an idea here at 22 minutes into the game what the incomes are looking like. Kalpa's got an absolutely ridiculous army. And remember, it is a much more cost-effective army here against Tips. Tips has got largely infantry, whereas Kalp has been pretty much cavalry. And I think that definitely answers the question of which unit composition is superior in this specific matchup. I'm still definitely going to hold my head high and say, you know what? That infantry reference I was making earlier, that was about other matchups. It wasn't about this matchup. You know, she goes to another school. But this matchup goes to another school. It's true. It's true. Don't at me. Look at the numbers back here. Now, keep in mind, with the Onamusha, you're going to have to build that from your archery range. Interesting to note is that the Onamusha gets buffed up by the Uma Bannerman, and not the ranged Bannerman that you would expect, the Yumi Bannerman. I know that for me, that seemed a bit counterintuitive, the fact that I had to make a cavalry Bannerman to buff my ranged unit, but it is riding a horse at the end of the day, so it does make sense. This is looking crazy though. I'm going to be honest, man. This is starting to look a bit scary. So for Tips, I feel like you've just got to go mass spears. But is there any way that you can come back from this? It just seems a little bit crazy at this point. There are so many units here. He's going to wall him in completely in this Japanese mirror, and we will get to see our Great Wall of Japan. I'm tempted to call that our Great Japanese Wall, just to trigger people. They're like, it's the Great Wall of China, Drongo. You should have said the Great Wall of Japan. I know. It's for the engagement, all right? I knew you guys were going to say it in the comments, so I said it. Now we've got counter walls coming out as well from Tips, but you can't help but feel like going for these kind of counter walls, it's just like cementing the lines. You're like, you know what? Yeah, I accept this terrible trade agreement. That seems fine. But now, the final wall comes down. Tips locked into his base. Unfortunately, his base has grown greatly. The Taganashima gunsmith is coming through for Kaup. But is it going to even matter at this point? Oh my god, did you see that come in from... Oh, look at the size of that thing. It's just it's like a warhead coming down. Look at the rocket, man. Does it one-shot these units? I don't even think it does. Yeah, they've got too much health. They're not even being one-shot at this point. Shogunate Castle, it's going to try its best to hold on here. You can see him just slowly but steadily losing out units, picking them off one by one. Taganashima gunsmith coming through for both of these players now. Let's have a look and see if we can spot it on the other side of the map. There it is. It's going to be Ozutsu, as you would expect. One of the best units in the game at the moment. At the same time, in the front of the base for 4 Tips, he's going to be looking for it as well. Villagers are going down here slowly. Tips did go into that third TC, so he will have a slight advantage. He's taken out almost all of the gold. 15 gold remain in here. But the one thing you've got going for you is that... what was it? The one thing you got going for you? I don't know. I was going to say there was something that you've got going for you, but I guess it's not the case anymore. Battering rams breaking their way through the great Japanese wall, the Great Wall of Japan. And he's slowly working down this Shogunate Castle. I love this. He's not even trying. Like, at this point, like, what is the value on this? He's paid 1,200 stone for this upgrade, but I can't help but feel like it has been so valuable. Now, all of a sudden, Ozutsu on the field, looking to try and get a piece of the action. Remember, these guys are going to be doing hella damage right now. The question's going to be whether the Shogunate Castle realizes it wants to be turning its attention up here, because that is going to mean serious business. Locked into his base. He now looks to break through. Imperial Age has arrived. Let's take a look at the elite upgrades that have come through on the north. It looks like elite Onimusha, elite mounted samurai. This is starting to get serious. And now, the very first Shogunate Castle goes down on the Aussie Drongo channel. The first one we've ever seen right there. It was a decent hold attempt, but unfortunately it was just a little bit too late for these units to break through. Oh my god, he's making Stonewall Towers. These are banned in tournaments. So this is an illegal move. I mean, we do play by tournament rules for the most part, but not always. And you can see now is one of those times where it is not happening. And he's taken out the mangonels. This is so cheeky. He's got the repair happening on behind the scene. And now a huge push from the north. Military numbers looking pretty even at this point, but I tell you what, I'm a little bit fearful because Kaup is about to absolutely destroy Tips here on the defense. The Great Wall of Japan has been opened wide, and it's going to mean the elite units can run through and destroy everything. Kaup left with nothing to his name, bar a single town center or two. A couple of farms in the back, and maybe a Yorishiro if you count those as military units. He's got the Taganashima gunsmith here, but I don't see an Ozutsu yet. Where are they? There it is, the one Ozutsu for now. Look at the unit numbers, and now the rewall comes in. It's not even gonna matter. He cleans it up completely and says, good game. Good luck with the next one. It was fun. Fellas, make sure you check out these two creators. They stream on Twitch all the time. I'm going to leave a link in the description of where you can watch them live. And if you haven't already, make sure you've purchased the Sultan's Ascend. It is amazing for an expansion pack.